Kristèle, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to be talking to a woman entrepreneur. We haven't had too many of these on the podcast, so it's a real pleasure to have you. I've been reading a little bit about you, and you have quite a rich career until you founded your own company. But before we delve into that, I wanted to ask you, who is Kristèle? So how would you define yourself?
Well, thanks, and first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.
Who is Kristèle? It's a very complex question. First of all, I say mom of two. Mom of two who works a lot. Why I say this? Because a lot of people think that when you become a mom, you can't work. Because when I was single and working a lot, like focusing on my career, a lot of people say, yeah, but when you get kids, you will see you won't be able to do this and that and this and that. And then I got a bit scared. So that's why I always say I'm an old mom, because I have very young kids now, but...
You don't look old at all.
So I waited. I did all that I had to do, because I thought, okay, since everyone's saying that when you have kids, you can't work, you can't do this, you can't follow your dreams, I thought, okay, maybe I should wait until I get kids. But then there's no right time. And then I fell pregnant on my first one and my second one, like they have only 2 years difference, like 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I just find myself working even more. Yes, because it was just the right time to start something or to continue my journey. Mm. And then I had new ideas, and I always say the trouble is you think you have time, but you don't have time because life is so short. So you had to just grab everything, because opportunity never strikes twice.
So you lived abroad for a very, very long time. I think you spent time in France, in Denmark, in England as well, if I'm not mistaken. So why did you decide to come back?
Actually, we came back much earlier than what I had planned, let's say. I thought I would just come back retired, right. Old. Okay. Okay. But the thing is, when you have kids, everything changes. We were in Denmark. I loved it there. It's really good for the kids. But then we were quite isolated. So when you have like Christmas time, family time, we would be only the four of us. So I thought it would be good for my kids to know their grandparents as well, and to be with my old friends. So it's very different here, even though a lot of people say, oh yeah, but Mauritius, you know, is still the same mentality or whatever. But you have everything Mauritius now, and then you have to be prepared mentally. And what I said is that you can't compare. Mauritius is an island. It's so mixed and the culture is different, so we can't really compare. So for me, every time they ask me, do you regret coming back? I say no, because maybe I have lost a lot of things there, but have gained so much here, like family time, friends time, and social life. So it's different.
When you were living in Denmark just before moving here, did you already have the idea of founding your own skincare line back then?
Yes, actually, O.Moi skincare, I founded it when we were in England. Right. I started to think about it when we were in England. So I worked on the formulation there. Mm-hmm. And then when we had to move to Denmark, I thought, okay, what will I do? Because I had already worked on the formulation, sent them to the labs there, got validation and everything. And I have spent so much energy and money. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I can't just leave it behind. And it's also my dream. So when we moved to Denmark, I didn't know the language, I didn't know the market, and I thought, okay, never mind, just launch it. Mm-hmm. So I launched it online, and then I didn't do like a massive thing because I was only like a small business. And then people tried it and loved the products. And then the very first balm that I developed was the all-in-one balm, because I was suffering from eczema. And then I wanted it to be multi-purpose balm because I hate traveling with so many products. So I wanted it to be for my face, for my hair, for my body.
Oh, wow.
So it was really wherever I had eczema, where it was very itchy and dry. But also because I was still working for the French company, so I was traveling a lot. And sometimes I wanted to have all my makeup removed when I reached the airport and I didn't have my cleansing lotion. So I would use this balm and just slap it on my face, and then use the cotton pad, just remove everything.
Wow.
And then just relax in.
So it
in
really
the airport.
was an all-in-one balm.
But it won a lot of the awards in the UK as a multi-purpose balm.
Wow.
From then on, I decided to have like different products in the range, but the inspiration came, let's say, every time there was something happening in my life. Like I used to have a baby balm because when I got pregnant, I wanted something natural, free from toxic ingredients. So I had the baby balm. But we kind of like updated the range here in Mauritius because of the weather. It's like so hot here, so I had to update the formulations a bit.
So you mentioned you're quite natural in your skincare range. So what is the main driver of your skincare? What is the message that you want to put out?
O.Moi, like O.Moi, it's already a contraction of two words. It's O-H and moi in French. So it's based on the me time philosophy.
Right.
So it has this philosophy of taking time for yourself to escape all the stress of life, because now, as I've said, women, they don't stay at home only to look after kids. They have their job, they look after kids, they have house chores, so they have a lot of things going on now. So the main thing is that I want to use clean ingredients like essential oils, because I know the power of essential oils, like aromatherapy, based on aromatherapy. Like when you use the products, you feel an instant well-being. So I really take time, not only on the formulation, but on also the blend of essential oils, so that it either works also on the skin, but also on the mind. So this is why we say it has a holistic approach, so that when you warm it into your hands, I always tell the customer, take at least a few seconds to take a deep breath of the scent, and then you start to massage it on your face, so that you really take this inhale of all the essential oils, and it makes you either soothing or invigorating, whichever product you have used, and it really helps with this instant well-being. So this is what I always focus on.
Amazing. So it's not just I love that idea, because what you're basically saying is that it's not the skincare in a way doesn't just work on the surface of your skin. It goes deeper than that. Yeah. In a way, if I may sound a bit cheesy, into your soul as well, because you're...
Yes, because we say body and mind. When we say holistic approach, we say body and mind. Yes. And that's why I've always loved it. When I was studying aromatherapy, it was like my favorite subject
really?
In England. Yes.
Okay.
Because it was really amazing to see how each essential oil could have benefits on the skin, but also on the mind. And then they have a synergy when they are combined together. Right. And this is why I spend a lot of time on the blend. Sometimes I do have the formulation already, but the final touch about the scent, this is what takes a lot of time for me.
Sure, because it has to have a positive effect on the skin, but it has to smell nice as well. It has to make sense. But did you find in your career, as you kind of progress, presumably it's a skill that you developed, the sense of smell that you have to, because some smells are very, very subtle.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes some smells you either like it or you don't like it. So it has to be, even if I like something, I can't really rely on my own. It has to be something quite rounded, let's say, so that it can suit most people. But of course, it's just like anything. Yes, sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't.
Of course. But do you try with different friends and family to see, do you get their opinions?
Yes, I do sometimes. I only have them to smell the scents and then to see their reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. And do you have a favorite essential oil, and why?
Neroli, which is in most of my products actually. Okay. Neroli essential oil is very expensive. So actually, when I started O.Moi Skincare, I started it for myself because I was suffering from eczema, so I wanted the balm for myself. So I decided to have neroli essential oil. So neroli comes from the steam distillation of the petals of the orange blossom. So you have different kinds of essential oils that come from the same plant. Like orange, sweet orange essential oil comes from the skin. When you press the orange skin, something greasy comes out. But neroli is more expensive because it comes from the petals. So you need tons and tons of the petals to retrieve only a small amount of the essential oil, because it's very uplifting and soothing. But why I loved it so much when I was abroad is that I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to give me a spoonful of orange blossom water before sleep because I was active. And then she said that it would help me to have a peaceful sleep, to calm me down. So I really like the smell. But it's very weird because I've encountered some people who don't like the smell at all. Yes, so they don't like it yet. They say, oh, I can't.
Is it quite a powerful
It's
scent?
quite powerful. It's not like sweet orange. It's very different. But why they can't really smell it as neroli itself in the products is because it's blended with some other essential oils. So it's more rounded.
Yes. And do you have a favorite, apart from the all-in-one? Maybe that's your favorite. Do you have a favorite product on your skincare range? That's a difficult one.
Yeah. I have an oil, body oil, that I use on the whole body. And then I ask my husband sometimes to do the massage of it. But it's inspired with my yoga practice. So at the beginning of yoga, sometimes I would just have a few pumps in my hands and just take a deep breath of it so that I could actually calm down. And then I would start my yoga, or at the end of each session.
Do you see, so let's get to the yoga now, because I think that's fascinating as well. Because initially, when someone recommended I have a chat with you, they were thinking about they were recommending me because of your yoga practice, which is something I'm very interested in, although it's been a long time since I've practiced any serious yoga. I used to practice Iyengar yoga when I was in London. Do you find it as a natural extension of your interest in wellness?
Yes, because I think yoga is holistic as well. It works on the body and mind. So that's why it really completes my concept, because O.Moi is about what you apply on the skin, but also when you breathe in the scent of the essential oils, it works on the mind and the body to calm yourself. So this is what we want also when we're doing yoga. Even though I do a lot of power yoga and vinyasa style, so you flow. It's a sort of meditation, because when you're in the flow, you're really focusing on yourself. I don't know how to meditate like proper yogis, to sit down for ages and just sit down and breathe. I can do it, but it's not my sort of meditation. For me, it's when I'm flowing. That's my sort of meditation. So the yoga is more like the inner wellness. So that's why I've combined O.Moi with yoga, because it's outer wellness with inner wellness.
Since you've started doing yoga and you're also teaching yoga, what are the main benefits that it's brought you as a person, as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur?
It helps me to calm down and to have my me time. Yeah, that's why O.Moi is based on having some me time. And when I'm doing my yoga practice, I like to do it in my office because if I do it at home, my kids are with me and they would climb on me.
Yeah, and then it becomes a more sort of...
It's more like a struggle with them.
Yes, exactly.
So when I reach the office very early, like even before 8, then I try to do my own practice in my office. And I think it helps me to ground myself. And I usually do yoga with music, not relaxing music, but contemporary music, whichever is on, or whatever music I like to have it on. And I feel that it really sets me in the mood to be in the present moment. Because I know like sometimes yoga needs to be with the Zen music, but it doesn't work with me.
That's what I think is great about yoga as well, because I really do think that it's for everyone. I think there are some, I've heard some myths sometimes, or misconceptions rather, that people think that because it's from Eastern origin, it's incompatible with Western cultures, and sometimes they attach a religious connotation to it, which is absolutely not true. although it may develop into a spiritual practice should you want it. Yes. But I think it has so many physical and mental benefits that it doesn't actually need to be associated with any sort of dogma.
No, I don't think so, because even for me, I had to learn about the Indian philosophy when I was doing my teacher's training. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was just like something I had to know because I'm doing the yoga. Sure. But when I teach, I don't get into it because a lot of my yogis don't want to have this association. Sure. So I understand because everyone has their own beliefs. Yes. So that's why I keep it strictly to the movements, mm-hmm. the asanas. Mm-hmm. But even though some of them tell me I don't do the or the meditation part, it's also because a lot of them don't want it because for them it's really linked to the yes. philosophy, Indian philosophy, and they have their own beliefs, so they don't want it. Sure. And for me, meditation is just like when you're drawing. If you like painting or drawing, sometimes you're so much into it, it's like as if you're in a trance and then you are just into it and then you're meditating. It's a kind of meditation. Even when I did my 50 hours of meditation with O.Moi, he was from India, and he did say, you don't have to sit down and try to meditate and then struggle with your own mind, trying to get your mind blank. It's the way you do the things, like even when you're doing the asanas, you're in the flow. That's a sort of meditation because you're only focusing on yourself, how you're doing it. It's just the same for me.
Exactly. And I think there are so, when people think of meditation, they think, as you said, that you're supposed to sit in a particular way and like breathe in a particular way. Whereas actually, as you spoke about drawings, the other day I was doing mandala coloring with my daughter. It was the first time that I did it and I loved it. And I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most about it is, as you said, you are so fully present. Yes. I think that is what meditation is about. You have to be present.
In the present moment, yes.
Whether you're running on a treadmill or whatever you're doing, the fact of being fully present, I think is what it's all about. Really.
Yeah, sure.
It must be tough being an entrepreneur as well as a mother. What are the things that you found most challenging coming back here and making it as an entrepreneur in Mauritius? Or has it been plain sailing?
How to say it?
You don't have to be politically correct.
No, the things that's hard here, it's some people are not open-minded in the sense that, okay, either you are here for your kids or you work. Mm-hmm. And every time I'm working or I'm late working, oh, but what about your kids or your kids? Do you spend time with your kids? Mm-hmm. And then when I'm with the kids, so how's the work? Like, it's looking after them.
Yeah, you're damn if you do, yes. Damn if you don't. Yeah.
So there's always something, but like I say, I know how much time I spend with my kids. Mm-hmm. I try to have enough time with my kids. And I make it, let's say, my duty to drop them to school every day and then to pick them up whenever I can, to take them to all their activities. And then if I need to drop them home again and go back to work, I will do it. But it's just that I need to separate the time with my family and then work. But like I've said, if I keep postponing things, then you will never do it.
As you said, life is short. And also, I think it's also about not having any regrets as well. Yes. Because it's you're clearly passionate about what you do, and I think from your studies all the way to now, it's just been a journey leading you to where you are now, and I'm sure you have other very exciting projects as well. But in terms of the evolution, do you think this is where you're meant to be now, not just physically, but in terms of your skincare line and what you've developed?
Well, I think there's always room for improvement or to do exciting things. Mm-hmm. But since I've been here for 3 years now in Mauritius, and so we have 2 points of sale, so I think I'm going to secure these 2 first.
Before having, opening
even though I do have ideas, I mean,
sure.
But I think, I need to secure these 2 and then we'll see how things go. And then my kids will be bigger as well. So we'll see where all this leads.
And are you still developing new products, or is your range
Well,
fixed?
we have not launched it yet,
Okay.
but it's already in the shops. So we're going to launch a new one soon. Okay. And we have changed all the packaging to make it a bit more eco-friendly, because it was very beautiful before. But the thing, it was written Denmark, so it was a bit confusing why it was it was still Denmark, and then now it's a bit more, yes, environmental friendly.
And in the Mauritian market now, that do you find people are more open to going towards more natural products, less?
Very a minority, I would say.
Still,
a minority would go for natural.
Right.
What I find here in Mauritius compared to Scandinavia is that people will go still for big brands, like because they know these brands, or it's a lot of like, okay, I buy these brands, so I wouldn't go for brands I don't know. And in Scandinavia, it's very different. It's like they would look for the natural products, they would read the ingredient list, like all the ingredients, and then they will make a choice. They don't care whether it's the big brand or not. They would only go for like the ingredients on the packaging. But I guess this is their way of living there anyway.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's in the
ingrained
culture.
in the culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in the culture. You don't have to educate here. I think there's education to do about like natural ingredients, even like simple things about essential oils and oils. Like there's a huge difference between a carrier oil and an essential oil. Why the price is so different. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the essential oil is so concentrated.
Yes.
You're not meant to be kind of bathing yourself in it. It's just a
Yes.
few drops sometimes.
Like why one essential oil would cost so much compared to another one. So it's also about which part of the plant is being distilled.
Yes.
So it's a lot of things that matter.
And what do you think is the best way of getting the message out there? You know, is it, you know, being a small country, what I find is, I mean, it's a plus, but also it's a minus. A lot of it is word of mouth as well.
Yes.
So what do you think is the best way of getting your message out, to encourage people, not to buy your products, but to encourage people to live a more natural, holistic, closer to Mother Earth life?
But I think a lot of people are trying to do it now by cultivating their own vegetables.
Fruit and veg, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, it's just because there's a big price gap between what's healthy and unhealthy in Mauritius. Sure. Now in Scandinavia, it's very accessible to eat healthy. It's not like as if you're buying organic vegetables or fruits. There's not a huge price gap between organic and non-organic. So here is still a huge gap. So it's more expensive. So that's why it's not accessible to everyone.
We have a lot of young people watching us, and either young graduates or still studying or have just started their professional journey. And a lot of them, sometimes I get messages asking me tips and ideas on what they need to be thinking about to take their career to the next level. So one question I had for you is that for someone who has a brilliant idea, a brilliant business idea, just about to embark on their entrepreneurial journey and probably going to face a lot of challenges along the way, what piece of advice would you have for them?
I think I don't regret having worked for the big companies first, because that's where I got all my experience. I learned a lot, even though sometimes I was smashed to pieces, and it's how you learn.
Sure.
And then you find one person who can guide you all through, and they trust you, and then you start stepping up. So I don't regret it, because sometimes I see like some entrepreneurs starting really, really young. That's nice. I mean, they have their own liberty and everything. But
without the experience.
Without the experience. I mean, they can learn on the spot, but still, sometimes you really need to learn from someone else, like who's got more experience and who's got things to teach you. Yes. And also for myself, like before I launched O.Moi, I didn't want to take any bank loans or anything.
Any risks.
Any risk, because I wanted to save. So I was still working as a freelancer, and whatever I had, I put in my new company. So let's say I've never gone bankrupt or had to take loans to keep my brand sustainable. Sure. But sometimes you will have to face like taking big loans. And this is usually when you start, let's say when you're very young, then you don't have the experience, but then it depends which family you come from, whether you have help or not.
Yeah, of course. And also I think with age and maturity as well, I think you learn to become more resilient. Whereas if you start very young, and unless you're naturally built otherwise, when you start very young, you might be discouraged by a failure or a setback. Whereas with experience and age, I put a post recently where I don't really think of things as setbacks anymore. It sounds a bit cheesy, but I see them as set-ups for the next level.
Because you learn from your failures, but also you need to manage people. And I couldn't see myself, even today, I don't really like to do it. But I had to do it. But the thing is, if I see myself like as a young me, I wouldn't have the courage to tell people what I have to tell today, because I would think maybe, this imposter syndrome, like I don't have enough experience or enough background to tell someone what he or she should do. So yeah, that's what I would feel actually.
Yeah. I know you still have quite young children, but do they know what you do? Are they interested in trying out your different products?
They know, because sometimes they're at the office with me, and then they like to prepare all the boxes before we put the creams in the boxes. And my daughter, she's 3.5 now, when she goes to Tribeca, then she would do like this to the girls to have their nails painted. But she's only 3.5. But that's the thing, because I've got the vegan nail polishes and they were safer. And I said, okay, you can do it once in a while. But she would come very slowly. She would put her hands like this.
That's good to know, because we're always telling off our daughter for, always putting toxic nail varnish. But if you have a vegan range, then we'll definitely come and visit you. Last question, and it's linked to what we're just discussing. Where can we find you?
So in Tribeca, first floor, the Pamper Palette, where we have the manicures and pedicures and back massages. O.Moi skincare as well. So everything about the wellness, like if you've been shopping too much there, shop until you drop, you can just
want a
stop
bit of
there,
a back massage,
have the legs massage or the back
wonderful.
massage.
Okay.
And then also at Saint-Pierre, it's called Quartier Général, and on the first floor still. Okay,
and you also, it's complementary to your yoga practice, you also sell yoga accessories as well.
Only in Saint-Pierre we have the yoga accessories and the yoga wear.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kristèle.
Thanks for
coming on the podcast. It's inspiring. As I said at the beginning, we don't have many women entrepreneurs, so it's inspiring to hear about your journey, but also to see, because we've also had many guests on the podcast where we're discussing what I call the great emigration. But it's encouraging to find that people do come back as well. People who gain experience abroad. I came back 10 years ago. The diaspora who are interested in giving back to the country and investing back in the country. So it's really wonderful that you've come back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.